Hi. So, here we are for Refresh Teesside, event 43. I'm Mark Thompson, and this is our first live stream. So bear with us as we put everything together. We're going to try and make sure that people don't block the camera, and hopefully you can hear what I'm saying, and you'll be able to hear what the speakers say. So enjoy this evening, and we look out for your comments down below the video. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, bloody hell, that actually works, this one. Right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 43rd Refresh Teesside, our August event. Woo! Is the appropriate response. So, a couple of things tonight, a couple of little differences from the norm. First being, you'll notice that there are two laptops sat over on that table. You can't take one of them home with you. In fact, you can't take either of them home with you. Because on that one there, that laptop, we are being shown to the world this evening. You know how we said we were going to try lots of different things with Refresh Teesside? Well, this is one of the first ones. Tonight we are live broadcasting the event. And we're going to look to do this more and more because it means we can record the event and share them online afterwards. So if you think this is a good idea and you like this, please tell us and share it. And then we can hopefully get more people coming along to Refresh and sharing the great community that we have. That also means please don't stand in front of that laptop. I should probably clarify that. So, what is Refresh Teesside? It is an event for the creative industry run by the creative industry in the Teesside area and the greater section of the North East. It is supported by the lovely people at Digital City, and we thank them for providing some delicious pizza that we'll be having later this evening. We thank Mink Bar for their lovely location and for looking after us, as they have done for over a year and a half now, as our home, and it feels quite lovely. It's our nice environment. An early thank you to all our speakers. A thank you to everybody that's here, the attendees. We wouldn't have an event if it wasn't for you guys. Well, we would. We'd just call it piss up. And if you want to have a talk, you want to speak, please do. Just come talk to myself, talk to Chris, talk to Matthew, talk to Ian, and we will get something arranged. And with this being a digital event, you've got something to say, you've got a business to promote, you've got something that you want to say about the area, give us a shout at the end. Once we get through all of three of our fantastic talks this evening, we'll be opening the microphone up to that. And before we crack on, I just want to remind everybody that this is a digital event. We live in a digital world, so please keep your phones on. You are allowed to take them out of your pocket. You are allowed to tweet. You're allowed to take vines. You're allowed to send up Instagram pictures. Just please, if you do, remember your hashtag RFTs and your other one if you've got a question, your hashtag RFTQ. So, without any further ado from me, and Chris, we're going to get through into the first of our speakers tonight. And the first of our speakers tonight is Rachel. Can I get a big round of applause for Rachel, please, everyone?
Okay, so originally when Ian asked me about doing this talk, I said, we'll talk about the tiny house. But then when I started writing it, as most things do, it kind of evolved into something else. So you're actually on a bit of a journey with me. So I've got tiny house to talk about forever. So if you've got any specific questions around that, just give me a shout later on. So one thing we're looking at that is the slow life. As you know, my name's Rachel Powell. Quite a few of the guys in the room do know who I am. But for those of you who don't, I've been a business development person for Digital City for 5 years now. I've run a business consultancy for 10 years. And I'm also an artivist. So this is an artist and an activist merged together. So because of this, I've got some really cool roles and really cool people that I meet from really different backgrounds. But with them being so diverse, these worlds often don't get a chance to overlap until I set up Sky Blue Pink. So the reason why this works with Sky Blue Pink is because it's what we call a transdisciplinary practice. So do you have any of you guys, quick show of hands, does anybody know to work in a transdisciplinary practice? Do you know what that means? Okay, that's what I was expecting. So I should imagine quite a few of you probably have the same thought or question that I had the first time somebody mentioned this to me. And basically, I don't even know what that is or what it stands for. And the guy that introduced me to this, a little bit darker, but he's called Chris. He works for one of the largest arts organisations in Scotland, and he also was my mentor when I was doing an MA up at Edinburgh University. So myself and Chris, and the rest of the guys from our MA, who come from all over the world, from Brazil through to Italy, California, Greece, Norway, we all got together, spent the whole day sitting in this really lovely place, because as all of us know here, kind of spending the day hanging out in a pub or a bar or a beer garden, that's kind of where the great ideas happen. So we spent the whole day in this bar in Edinburgh, and the conclusion we came to about it is that, one, is it not only really difficult to say, but also transdisciplinary practice is actually really difficult to describe as well. So for me, what that looks like, I apologize, it's a bit dark on here, but it's where you get really diverse people coming together from different backgrounds to work on interesting ideas. So in this picture, you've got a farmer, you've got a restaurant owner, and you've got a filmmaker, all coming together to work on a really cool project. And that's actually what my friend Patrick has done to the final straw. So they've set up the slowest restaurant in the world in Japan. When they first opened the doors a few weeks ago, people turned up to order a meal, and I think their customers were a little bit shocked, because after they ordered from the menu, they were told, well, we've got your order, can you come back in 5 weeks' time? Because we'll have finished growing the vegetables for your order, and we'll be able to make the food for you. So Patrick said, luckily, quite a lot of people, we think they had a good sense of humour, because nobody was upset, they were just a bit surprised by this. So for them, they've used food and film and farming as a way to start a conversation and raise awareness around some of the issues that are going on around the world about fast food and about mass farming and about our disconnection to the environment. Also, it sparked another interesting conversation with another one of my friends who's a creative in the Teesside area. Because when I was talking to him about this project, saying this is really, really cool, he went, but is it a restaurant though? And so I started laughing and said, well, yes, it is a restaurant. But actually, maybe the question we should be asking is it also art? And is it farming? Well, really, it's all of those things. It's science, technology, it's art. At the same time, it's actually none of those things as well. And that's what's exciting about working in collaboration with people like this. It's where we come together, where our different worlds overlap, and it's where those edgelands occur. That's where the real innovation happens. So by partnering up with a gaming company, with somebody who could be a hairdresser, with somebody who then is a geologist, and saying, you know what, actually what can those guys create together that is different, where our worlds kind of overlap. And that for me is actually the power of the peripheries. It's the edgelands. It's these exciting places that not everybody is brave enough to go into and to explore. So I would kind of think through your network and see, who have I got actually that is so different to me that I've never thought about working with before, that I could be inspired by, I can inspire them as well. Because really, on those edgelands, that's where the cool stuff really happens, and that's where the innovation and the interesting ideas are. Also, the lovely place about existing in these edgelands is that it's often a grassroots movement, and that is us guys. It's not a big corporation coming in and saying, we want to do this idea. It's about us. It's about us having a question about the world around us that we want to make better for ourselves, but not just for ourselves, but for everybody else as well. And that could be on a local level, it could be on a national level, it can even be on a global question that we were all asking and exploring. So my question came from this quote from Gandhi, so I thought, you know, this is a really interesting kind of statement, and it was really quite resonant for where I was in my life. I was thinking about a lot of my friends who are self-employed and we're running through businesses, and this would be a lovely idea because the life just goes so fast. You know, where's the last year gone? We're nearly into Christmas already. But I thought, how do you implement that when you are self-employed and you live in the Western world? Particularly if you think about the tech sector. My background's fashion. Us guys, as soon as we create something, it's already out of date. So already looking to the future. So how do we appreciate the here and now? So when I started thinking about why do a lot of us move that fast through life, quite a lot of it actually is related back to money. So we're either paying the mortgage, paying the bills, wanting to make a lot of money, want to grow our businesses. And I kind of stood in my house, and I had a lovely cottage in the middle of the countryside at that point, and that to me was, I was living the dream that I'd worked hard for all these 10 years. And I thought, where do I go from here? I simply make more money, I get a bigger house, and I fill it with more stuff. So for some people, that's pretty cool. That's how they want to live life, and that's great. But for me, I thought that's actually not what I want out of life. So I decided to give up my home. I gave all my white goods away to a homeless charity. And I'm living in my friend's spare bedroom in the middle of central Middlesbrough. I live with 4 generations of an Asian family, which is totally insane because I've lived on my own for like the last 6 years, and we're living in a tiny 3-bedroom terrace with 6 cats and a guinea pig. So you never have a moment's peace or quiet, but this is part of the adventure. When I looked at the tiny house movement, that for me kind of filled that gap. It's about living a really simple life, about getting rid of all the stuff and living with the things that you love and you enjoy and you need. And this came from America. Have any of you guys heard about it at all? No? Okay, it's starting to come over into the UK now. Particularly on the One Show, but when I was looking at the UK, it's very much a marketing gimmick at the minute, and I thought, this is losing the grassroots. This is a company saying, we build sheds, let's stick it on a trailer because we've done it in America and make a bit of cash. So I thought, let's have a look at this through Sky Blue Pink. Let's set up a group or a tribe of really interesting people that we can explore this journey, that we can explore the difference between what makes a shelter a home, that we can look at materials. We're working with Free Cycle UK and James and the guys from over there. And this is my really cool tribe that we exist through Sky Blue Pink. There's myself, there's Sam who's here tonight. So Sam from iMersion has been doing 3D rendering. We've been creating the virtual world and transferring it into the actual world. Sam would also like to know that he did things on, he put it together on a Sunday night. The graphics. He said if you do pay him, you'll do a much better job. That's what he said. Tim, who built Boho 1. So if you don't know Tim, he's the guy who dreamt up Boho 1 and Boho 5 with the glasses on. So Tim normally builds massive buildings, and I said, Tim, would you help me build a 12 by 8 foot house? And he went, why not? It sounds good, but let's do it. And Graham's here tonight as well from Grey Star Forge, high at the back. Graham is fixing our house onto the trailer, so if you find it in the M1 and it's dropped off, Graham is very involved. And there's little Sean from Stripe 4 who's helping us look at how do we digitise the house and create a virtual community online as well. So, sorry, that's that as well. So we're still on this journey. I don't have all the answers yet. We've got the trailer, which took 8 months to find. We then tried to figure out how to attach the house to the trailer, which is Graham is up next. But one thing that we've discovered already is that tiny houses are very personal. So this is my tiny house. Because I'm an artist, I actually want to be able to take my home and my art studio out on site. So I get invited up to Hebrides, up to Orkney. I travel all over, like France, and I want to be able to take my home and studio with me and park up on the side of the lot and actually just work on site and bring the community to me and learn from them as well. So mine's very much indoor, outdoor space and getting as much as I can from workspace as well. We've even planned the inside out. I'm actually in bed, so I'm sat in my bed at the minute, and that is Sam down there. So Sam's kindly built some 2-scale models, so I know I can get through the front door, but Sam is going to have to duck down. Again, sorry, that's very dark, but so this is Sam's version of the tiny house. So it's inspiring you to look at building a home as well. And Sam's a fantastic cook, so actually this front bit that's on there, you open a little hatch in the kitchen and you can pick his herbs without having to go outside. So one thing we found with this, rather than your traditional house where you build a box and then you fill it with things, tiny house you've got to work with the nice stuff and inside out. So you've got to think, how would I use that space, and then let's build around it. So all of these tips and ideas and things as we're going along are actually going to go on our website. So it's called theslow.life. So again, any tips in there? We're looking for some guest writers as well that are interested in this, that we can repost information. So if you signpost me to things you're reading about this journey, about slow food, slow living, tiny houses, that's awesome. I can post up on there as well. I suppose for me, this ongoing journey, even though we haven't got the house, we are travelling. So the trailer, I had a little brand new Honda Jazz. I've always had new cars, again, because that's just what I worked for. And I thought, well, that's not going to tow a house, is it? So I got rid of the Honda Jazz, and at Christmas, I've got a 13-year-old Jeep Grand Cherokee, which is nicknamed the Beast, which is for towing the house in. And we disappeared off to Wales, and we picked up this trailer. And the lovely guy, Chris, said to me, the reason I gave it to you for the price that I should have done is I love the tiny house movement. He said, my granddad actually founded the Pre-Raphaelites movement, artist movement in London. And when I read about this, he said I wanted to be involved. So he's an electrician. He hooked up the lights for us, but unfortunately, we didn't realise we'd come up to services driving back from South Wales, and I thought, do we stop or don't we? And then I looked at the wing mirror and thought, oh yes, we need to pull over, because we realised the tailboard was trailing behind us down the motorway. I was like, oh right, he's not fixed it on right. So we pulled into services. This is the lovely lady in the service station who basically gave me some twine and other bits that she had from a parcel. So we tied it back up, and then we were nearly home. We were kind of like just above Sheffield, driving. And then suddenly realised the tailboard had fallen off again, so we had to pull over the side of the M1 in a hard shoulder while this traffic's flying past us. And the only thing I had at that point was my iPhone cable, so that was sacrificed. So we tied it up with the iPhone cable, and then set off again. And then we realised actually at the next services we better pull over because I don't think the iPhone cable is going to hold it on. And at that point everywhere was shut, but one lady managed to give us a bubble wrap pack and some parcel tape. So we made it back to Borough with a jiffy bag basically and some parcel tape. There was a traffic cop near 19. There's no police here, is there? But yeah, I was thinking, I saw him start to move out. I was like, please, just don't stop us. And he luckily stopped because I think we probably would have been there. But another interesting fact from Cleveland Police, because I did ring them to say, if I had a house on a trailer, you know, how would I get pulled over by the police? And he said, okay, well, as the sergeant of Cleveland Traffic Police, I have no idea. But as long as you look safely loaded, I can see your license plate and your lights, then you're fine. So just to let you guys know, if you ever want to tow a house, that's good to go around to. And one of the other tips that we had was when I started cleaning out the house. So those 4 bags on the bottom was actually the start of me cleaning out my wardrobe. So I've got a little task for us to do. I didn't realise I've now got onto 7 bags of clothes, hence fashion design background, I tend to hoard stuff. So I rethought about my wardrobe, and every time I go shopping, you just buy stuff that you like. So I rethought the whole wardrobe and thought, actually, how many pairs of trousers do I need? How many jumpers do I need? How many skirts or dresses? Or, you know, I didn't even know I had 7 pairs of jeans. Like, why do you need 7 pairs of jeans? That's one for every day of the week. So one thing I'd like to ask you, last one, yeah, honest, is we're doing a pants poll. So one of the questions that I asked my friend when downsizing the wardrobe, I thought, well, I need about 3 jumpers, but how many pairs of pants does one person need? And they said, well, I've no idea. I've never thought about it before. I said, well, how many have you got? I don't know. So this is interesting. Some people do know. One of my friends is a woman who's got 8, which I thought weird for a girl, but wear 7 and wash 1. So quite a blokey thing to do, I think. So if you guys, that's our Twitter for the Slow Life. It'd be really cool if you could follow it. But also, if you can kind of tag us in and actually put pants poll. I'd like to know how many pairs of pants you own at home. If you don't know, but haven't got a clue, would that be okay? Cool, thank you.
Fantastic. Now that was exceptionally interesting to me because I watched a bit of that online with the Creating Spaces thing, and it's to hear about and meet somebody doing that. I think that's really interesting. So prepare to be bombarded by people with questions for you to later on. And probably pants. Yes. Everybody go around and count somebody's pants. How many pairs you've got on just now. I think that was the crux of that bit. Right, so next one up is a man called Ollie, and he stood up and he's very eager, so we're going to give him a round of applause and say thank you, Ollie. Ollie, come and say some words, please.
Right, do you want me? Good. Right, so my first talk. So if you catch me afterwards, let me know how I did, because it's the first time in 4 years I've got my talk. So I'm going to talk for a bit on keeping developers happy and the relationship that designers and developers have together and what we can do to make just help us create really cool stuff. So firstly, talk about some of the problems that I think there are at the moment, and yeah, kind of go over. Firstly, if you're a developer, I'm sure you'll quite often be finding yourself rewriting your own code. This can often be due to finding that you haven't got all the designs at the start, if, for example, the design and development of a project have to overlap, or because the designers haven't given you a good enough understanding of the project that you know what to do. Developers having to design themselves. I normally find this is because the developers don't know where all certain little designs are. A lot of the time designers will give developers really flat designs, so if there's anything interactive on the site, then if you haven't made it really clear, the developer's going to try and do it themselves, and then the designer's just going to shout at them if they've done it wrong. The end product is not what was originally designed, usually due to a lack of communication between designers and developers. So in the end, the designer's annoyed because they're not seeing what they've designed, and the client's annoyed because they're not seeing what they've been promised, and the developer's annoyed because everyone's annoyed with them, and they're going to solve the problem. So. And missed deadlines. Pretty much the cause of the three above. And in the end, the client doesn't care why the project's been delayed, they just care that it has been delayed. So what can we do about this? What are the things that we can do in our everyday agency life to make it better? Firstly, make sure your developers are always involved with the projects from the very start. Developers have a completely different mindset to designers, there's a whole left and right brain thing going on there, so they're going to have a completely different perspective on your designs. And if you're a designer, or if you're a developer, they won't have been staring at it for 8 hours a day. So they'll be able to help find underlying problems in the designs that you might not see. They can help make sure that all your functionality is within scope, so make sure your features are actually possible, and that the designers aren't going to go to the client with some really cool feature. The client's going to love it, and the developers are then going to come back and say, sorry, we can't actually do that, we don't have the time. They can tell the designers if there are any constraints in the project. For example, if it's going to be a small project, it might end up using some sort of framework. So it's really important for the designer to know that so they can make sure they're designing around it and they're not going to create necessary work. Oh yeah, and have design handover meetings. This is really useful, so if you're ever going to give a developer a design, what you should really do is sit down with them, talk to them and actually walk them through it, because then they can get a really clear understanding of the design and how it's supposed to work. It's going to save you a load of time in the future. You can do it with text, but sometimes it's better because if you're a designer and you're explaining your designs, it will help make the design better. Because it's not anything unnecessary or anything that you can't. Well, yeah, if you can't explain something, then it doesn't need to be there. Pretty much. Simple. And if we look at the other side of this, we should make sure designers are involved long after the designs have been handed over. So obviously one of the big things at the moment is responsive design, and designers will tend to design the two extremes of a project. So you'll do like a desktop side and you'll do a mobile side. You don't design all the between. So again, going back to the point earlier, you're kind of expecting the developer to design lots of different sizes of the side that people view it on. So unless you give them proper guidance, it might not be as polished as you want it to. Now, should designers code? This is a question that's pretty popular at the moment, and you're probably going to find hundreds of articles online for and against it. And in the end, what I believe is, if you're a designer and you're designing for something, you should really understand what that something is. And if you like me in my everyday life, I'm designing for the web, so I should understand how the web works. So if you are designing for the web, learn the basics of HTML and CSS, how a website's going to be structured. Learn how browser inspectors work, because there's nothing worse than to constantly ask the developer to move something. So if you can give them exact values, that's even better. And yeah, you're only going to start creating a better developer workflow, because by understanding it, you're going to probably create better design files that are easier to understand from the developer's perspective. Being a cross-discipline designer can make you more valuable, but it doesn't mean you should. So understand your own strengths. It's all very well being a designer who can do code and everything, but is that designer going to be particularly good at one thing? Probably not, because they're trying to do everything. And then the old phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. And yeah, if you don't want to be the designer, you have to ask. Easily ask the developer for something to move to, because it's probably something that all developers and designers can relate to. And if you can code, then you can always jump into the project if the developers allow to do it yourself. And you can make all the little changes that only you notice. So next, let's talk about components and consistency. Developers will use a lot of variables and components in their work because they can create really big, flexible, scalable projects, which can really decrease development time and cause a lot of really good benefits for faster loading, and it's easier for the user to understand. So if you have this mindset, you can start creating designs around variables and components to help developers on their way, to help you create more consistent and strong designs. So one of the main ways you can do this is by using UI guides, style guides. And here are a few that I found on Dribble earlier this week. They're everywhere, so it's always easy to find to anything needs inspiration. And they don't have to be neat. They don't have to be ones that you're going to show to the client. A lot of people think they tend to be like brand books. They really don't have to be. They can purely be an internal tool. And this is the sort of thing that I think you should sort of be including. So first of all, include colours, all your colour variables in whatever format the developers like. Hex, RGB, HSP if you would, whatever you like. If you've got any variations on those colours, so if you have like, if you've got like a link colour, you might have a hover colour, so make sure that's clear as well. Typefaces and fonts, if you're going to be using typefaces, let the developer know where they can get them, because it'll only help them. And also think, if you're going to be designing for the web, one of the main issues of the website is it needs to be fast, so if you're going to be using 3 different fonts that are on 3 different services, that's 3 requests. If you need 3 requests, it needs to be 3 Google fonts instead of 1 Google font, 1 type font, and 1 local font. Spacing values, we talk about the spacing in and around elements. It can really help to keep it consistent and ensure everything feels nice and polished. Buttons and forms, sort of outline, you've got small buttons, medium buttons, large buttons. Iconography, if you're going to use some sort of icon pack, try and use the same one, make sure it's really clear to the developer where these icons are or how they can get them. And basically any other common element that you're going to be using in these designs. And these can be really good for developers and designers. For designers, they're great because once you've done your initial sort of style and you design you're happy with, you've immediately got a great resource that you can pull from for all the rest of your designs. And you can really help create really strong, polished designs. And they're great for developers because they've immediately got somewhere where they can go, where they've got exact values of what they need to use. And don't forget, a developer is not a designer. They don't spend all day in Photoshop or Sketch. So if they're having to dig through your Photoshop files, it can waste a lot of time in the day. So I'm making it really clear at the start and saying that time. Teachability. Designers, you can learn to explain your designs to developers. The developer is going to understand why something that might seem quite small is actually a big thing. And it will also help ensure your designs have real meaning. So if you can't explain something in your designs to a developer and why you like it, does it need to be there? Is it there just because it looks pretty? Can it be removed? Can it be something? If something can't be done, find out why. Because if you design something and the developer said, I can't do it, you might do it. If you don't find out why, you might do the same thing in the future, and then you're going to go just end of this. And project management. So these are sort of things you can do from the start to the end of the project just to make things run more smoothly. Firstly, if you're a designer, please have a solid file structure. The amount of times I've seen design _final_2. It's unbelievable. So you can see the one under this is the file format that we tend to adopt. So we tend to start with a project name, then a design, and then a version. And try and keep this consistent all the way through. And it's really good because it's always easy, it's always really easy to find. You can also make it even easy to find the latest design by doing what we do and have a folder called old, and all your old designs go in there. So the latest design is always completely separate, so there's no confusion to the developer as to where design is that they need to work from. And ensure states are easy to find. As I mentioned earlier, if you're designing a website, you're going to give the developer probably a flat file. So if you've got any sort of interactivity, any sort of hover actions or clickable events, you really should make sure that they're easy to find. There are different ways you can do it. You can just give them notes on how to find them. You can use something like layer comps in Photoshop to give them effectively like a list of all the actions, all the views, and they can click through them. But it's definitely worth doing. Otherwise, it does have something through it. And then there's some tools you can use. So these are like the 4 the main ones that we tend to use in the office. So the first one is Trello, which is brilliant for internal use. It effectively lets you create lists. You can use a shopping list. Yeah, so if, for example, I was looking through a set of developers working on and I noticed a ton of little changes, I can create a list with all these little design tweaks. And the developers can then work through them when they've got time, rather than me bugging them trying to get them to do little changes here and there. And they can have a list for urgent. So they effectively allows you to prioritise what stuff needs to be done. InVision is really good. It's used a lot for walking clients through your designs because it lets you link up flat images. But you can also use it internally to show a developer where certain aspects the sorts of which you can have comments on it, so you can have a developer putting a pin on, let's say, the NAV and saying, I don't want to do it, can you send me a design for this? Betacamp's good. It's really good for your company talking to an agency, but it's also really good internally because you can have discussions and checkboxes. And it's just another good way of organising and keeping everything, making everything clear. And that's with Slack, which I highly recommend to anyone because Giphy is the best thing ever. When it gets it right. Yeah, if you have a problem with any design, ask your designer straight away, because if you don't understand it, is your user going to understand it? And that's it. So I do hope you'll take something away from this. Catch me afterwards if you have any questions. Back to
I think that went exceptionally well for the gentleman that stayed the first step of coming up here and talking to people. And he remembered to duck under the laptop. 2 people did. He got the scorn of the internet. Underneath that laptop sit a billion trolls just waiting to say meh. Right, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. The good news is the beach is almost here. The bad news is we've only got 1 talk left. There's better news. It's a great talk! So Lyndsie, come on up. A round of applause please for Lyndsie.
Hi, I don't know if any of you know me, I've had a bit of a talk before. I'm Jason's fiance from Big Bad Creative. A bit of a sell there maybe, but but that's who I am. So I'm a forensic psychologist in training, which means that I work with people daily to think about how they can better manage their emotions. Believe it or not, I spend most of my time doing that with staff rather than clients, but hey ho. So I think a lot of it does transfer to maybe what some of you experience in your daily life. I know Jason comes home sometimes quite stressed with deadlines and things that are going on and just general work stuff on top of daily hassles. And sometimes it's just quite nice to have a bit of a think about ourselves. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to particularly focus on mindfulness and hopefully kind of give you a bit more understanding of what this is and maybe how you can use this technique to be able to kind of help you daily or maybe even help you sleep. So Jason told me because I'm coming to a tech conference I need to try and make it a bit more tech interesting, so I've tried my very best. But basically, if you pretend that this is your brain, I know it's a desktop, but pretend it's your brain. So you save stuff to your desktop over and over again, and then you start saving folders within those folders, and then folders within other folders, and then all of a sudden things are getting out of control. You might need to go and buy something else to kind of boost your memory to be able to store stuff. Well, our brains are quite similar. Our brains can only take so much, and our emotions get heightened when our brains get too full. And basically, mindfulness is about being able to manage that time when things just get too much. I'm sure you've all kind of maybe seen this before. It's a screenshot from Jason's laptop, not mine. And I know it says ball and chain, that's me. Yeah. So he's working away, and then I'll send him a message saying, "You're not answering your phone, can you call me?" And he's maybe kind of quite into something. And then because we're humans of curiosity, we can't just leave it at that. We maybe need to kind of have a look and see what's going on. And then before we know it, we've got missed phone calls, we've got mail that we're trying to receive, we've got more messages from me. And those files are getting bigger and bigger, and you're starting to slot more and more things in. So not only are you trying to manage the things that are happening outside of work, you're always trying to manage the things that are happening inside work as well. So basically, mindfulness is about just having that one folder. It's about not having your desktop full of lots of folders or your brain full of lots of folders and lots of issues. It's about just focusing on that one thing at that one time. So just having the one folder, but if you bear with me, not folders within that one, just the one. So what happens is, with mindfulness, the aim is to manage the intensity of that emotion. So we all kind of have those thoughts, and I especially have those days where you're just not in the mood. You go into work and think, you know what, I'm just not in the mood today, I might as well just go home. Might as well just not bother, this is a waste of time for me. or I'll do this tomorrow, I can't do this. But then what happens is you might distract yourself by making a cup of tea, maybe just scope on Twitter or Facebook for a little bit, maybe have a look at those messages. But what actually happens is that we get into a state of procrastination, and when we procrastinate and we've got deadlines and things that are stressful, actually all that does is intensify that emotion, so that means that you'll actually be less productive than what you were hoping to do. So the real aim of mindfulness is to be able to kind of manage those times when your emotions are quite heightened and you're procrastinating, because procrastination can lead to stress, worry and anxiety. And when you've got to that point where you're unable to sleep at night, where you're wanting to walk out of work and scream because you just think that people are a waste of time, you can't cope with what they're saying, you're letting the small things in life overwhelm you, well, this is where mindfulness can come in handy. It's about giving your brain a bit of a break and a bit of a time out. So mindfulness then is a state of being achieving to focus on one thing at one time. It's nice to see a few women here, because I was going to make a joke about men and one thing, but Jason told me not to, but anyway. So it's about being able to focus on one thing at one time in that present moment. It's about acknowledging that you might be stressed out, your thoughts might be quite chaotic, you might be quite distracting, and that's okay. It's okay to experience those things, but what's not okay is when you get so overwhelmed that you can't maintain that focus on that one thing. So this is my little dog Otter, and we focus, one of the things that we say is we talk about having your dog on a lead. So this is one of the metaphors. So if you imagine you've got a brand new puppy, you let it off a lead, that puppy is your thoughts. When you let it off, it's running all over the place. You can't help but think about other things that are going on in your life. Your focus isn't on that work that you're doing at that time, it's on everything else. What you need to do is put that puppy or your thoughts on that lead and rein it back in and control them so that you're able to do the best that you can do. So mindfulness is a form of meditation. It does come from Buddhism, and it's a mental training exercise. Some people might like it, some people might hate it. That's okay as well. It's about managing your focus and noticing the thoughts and emotions that are arising and the bodily sensations that are going on there, and dealing with those in the moment so that you don't procrastinate or do something that's not where your attention wants it to be. It's about being able to control and place your attention about what's important in that moment. It's not about resolving all the difficulties you're having, it's about acknowledging that you're quite stressed out, you're quite worried, you're quite anxious, and being able to get your attention back on the things that are important in that moment. What mindfulness is it's not complicated at all. It doesn't take a long time. In fact, you can do it for 2 or 3 minutes in the moment. It doesn't reduce your motivation to succeed. In fact, hopefully it should make it better because you're able to get things done. Mindfulness is not an excuse for poor performance or poor work. So it's for the moments when you might get pulled into the office and people say to you, you're doing a crap job. And then all of a sudden you feel, I'm doing a crap job. You start criticising yourself, saying you're doing a crap job. Your emotions get heightened, so you might avoid the work that you're doing, or you might, like me, maybe just sit and cry at your computer a little bit for an hour, which isn't that productive in the grand scheme of things. It's about owning that emotion and that being okay, but being able to move away from it and get on with what we need to do. So I've got a bit of a practice. I don't know if everyone will be up for it. That's okay if you don't want to. There's 3 different types you can do. There's an observation one, where you try and think about what's going on inside your body at that moment, how does that feel, and what's going on in the world around you. We've got a describe one about what do you notice, so what can you see, what can you smell, what can you touch, and then a participation one, which is doing things. I'm going to do a participation exercise with you all if you want to give it a go. Sorry, I'm not. I'm going to do an observation one. With this, I did bring all 3, but I'm just going to do an observation one for you all to have a bit of a go at. If you want to talk about the other 2, I have got plenty of exercises. So, can you just hand out the sweets? Is that okay? Brought sweets. Yeah.
Move! What are you doing with the sweets?
If everyone just takes the sweet. I've got another box to send round the other way as well. Ollie.
Sweetie?
I take no responsibility for diabetics, allergies, anything like that. The fruit pastels.
And I'll just say to the people watching online at this point, you have to provide your own sweets. Nobody's going to come into your house right now and give you sweets. Sorry.
I'm so glad that
So the gluten-free?
Yeah.
Shit on my mat. Get ready. Look, it's cool. Ah, that one, thank you.
Okay, don't eat it then, like that.
Wait it.
Yeah, don't eat it just yet.
Is everyone eating theirs already? Does everyone eat it?
I swear that was
Has everyone got a sweet?
Okay, so what mindfulness is about giving yourself a bit of a brain break and a bit of a time out. I am going to read through something that we use to kind of help you maybe think about if you would like to try it. You might be one of those people that can manage your emotions perfectly, okay, that's cool, but we don't always actually manage our emotions as well as we think we do. So this is a little opportunity. Sometimes you can eat things that you like. Ideally, it's about eating things that you don't like, because that will help you think about that experience a lot more, okay? I would say if we were kind of doing this on a one-to-one, if you were one of my clients, which I hope you never will be, you would find a time and a place where this would be kind of a quiet moment for you on your own, just to have a bit of think about these things, okay? So before you begin eating your sweet, look down at your food, take in what it looks like. How does it smell? Think about where it came from. Where did it come from? Notice if you have any urges about wanting to put it in your mouth before it's time.
Come on.
Have a think about whether, are you sat there, is your mouth watering? Do you feel hungry? Are you maybe thinking about pizza? Before you take a bite, just notice what it looks like. What colour is it? What does it feel like? Now put it to your mouth and notice how it feels when you put it in. Oh, this sounds really rude. If only I'd have thought about this earlier. Okay. So put it in your mouth. Okay. Notice how it feels, what it tastes like. Is it sugary? Is it grainy? Is it smooth? Do you have any urges to chew it? See, none of you are being mindful. You're too busy thinking about other things. Okay. So when you're ready, you can swallow it. Okay. So once you've all calmed down, take a little bit of a time to notice what's happening now. Were you able to only think about that sweet, or were you too busy thinking about other things? If you were too busy thinking about other things, which you probably were, then you weren't being mindful. And this is why it's an activity that you're meant to do on your own. So basically, mindfulness is about noticing what things look like, what things smell like, how they taste, what they're like when you touch them. Because that is the sensories that we are born with. And those are the things that we need to take more notice of. And if we constantly allow ourselves to be overwhelmed by things that come into our brains all the time and have to keep putting things in check, then we're not going to be able to maintain our focus. If you would try doing that on your own, hopefully you would have a bit of a different experience. But the point of it is that you think about one thing at one time, because then the intensity of your emotion will reduce. And if not, you might even get a bit of a laugh out of it. So I think that my kind of top tips are generally just notice what's happening around you. Notice if you're starting to get stressed out. Notice if your emotions are getting too much, because it ain't going to make you any better to be sitting with those emotions and not even get out of control. which I'm sure you're aware of. But mindfulness is kind of an up-and-coming skill that if you do struggle with your emotions, have a look online, find lots of techniques that you can do. I've brought some other ones with me. On reflection, probably would have been a bit better. Don't let your emotions get out of control. Practice trying to keep things in check and practice when things are getting too much. And most of all, just be mindful. Be mindful and live in the moment. Don't be too busy living with the future or what's happened in the past. Think about what you need to achieve today and achieve that. Okay, thanks.
After seeing some of the folks on the stage, I kind of don't want to pick up the clicker. What are you doing? Good Lord, he's spoiling my surprise. Okay, so at this point, this is where I turn over and say it's time for anybody with a shout out, put your hands up, come and talk to us and do a thing. So what's going to happen is we actually have 2 immediate lightning talks, and these are literally 3 minutes, and I will be the sheep. Those of you that remember the sheep of Refresh Gone Pie, I will be making the great big loud noise of a sheep at 3 minutes. If your talk is not finished, gents, I'm taking the mic and I'm taking the clicker. Are we clear? Can we queue up, please? Have you got your slides? Have you got your slides? Do you have slides? Right. I need you queued up, please, gents. Just to clarify, anybody watching on the live stream, please just wipe off your keyboard. Everything got really, really filthy here for a minute. And it looks even worse now because I'm stood right behind Chris as Chris is leaning over his laptop. So when you see this back on this video, it's going to look hilarious.
So,
how do I actual sound?
Would you like a microphone?
bear with me.
Is that working?
And on your marks, get set, talk.
I'm John, I'm a defence wizard. I'm defending industrial websites in my day job, and this is what I do during that time, defending real-time systems. But what I'm here tonight to shout out is the new Cyber Essentials scheme, which is being brought out by the government. So basically, anybody who wants to win a government contract in the future, they will have to have this Cyber Essentials certification. So basically what I'm doing is just giving you a couple of websites where you can go and find out for yourself and get all the information you need. So this is the first website, government.applications, Cyber Essentials scheme overview. Or if you just put search Cyber Essentials scheme, you will come up with a number of websites related to it. You can download loads of brochures and information about it and other ways that you can protect your company. Here's another one, Cyber Streetwise. It's all related to the same Cyber Essentials scheme. So you can go on there and get the information for yourselves. And here's the body which is governing the Cyber Essentials program. So just go online, you can go to click on those and you can actually download the questionnaire that you would do for the test. If you don't want to do the program, you can still download it and check out your own company security compared to the Cyber Essentials scheme. And if you're not interested in the Cyber Essentials scheme, here's a very good website where you can get all sorts of information on protecting your company's website and data and so on. So it's a must base for government contracts. You can reduce your insurance premiums a lot if you get it. If you do the questionnaire online to get the certification, it's about £300. And so just go to the web pages, download them, have a look at the self-assessment, and there's a frequently asked questions one there that you can download. And then critically, everybody needs to work together to protect Cyber Essentials across the country. And this is what this is beginning to do. Thank you very much.
I really wanted to do the impression of the sheep. There's still time though, we've got another person. I want to welcome him up to the stage and see if he wants to use the microphone. Round of applause, please!
time we're limited, basically I'd like to ask you all some questions. Who uses a website builder for their own purposes? Could I have a show of hands? Not many. The next question is going to be, would you only use open source and free software? No. And would you use licensed website builders? Yes or no? So if you would use them, would you do a show of hands? The reason I'm asking is basically we're developing a website builder. So we're close to getting to the marketing stage, so I was looking for some marketing feedback. The product's going to be called SiteRight, and I intend on doing a proper talk on it sometime. Thank you very much for your feedback. Cheers.
Switch that back on. Does anybody want to hear my sheep impression?
No. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Do it.
Do it. Do the sheep.
Oh shit.
Ladies and gentlemen at home, I apologise for that kind of language. It's flipping reprehensible. Right, anybody else got any other kind of shout outs, anything they want to do, talk about, job postings, anything, new projects, anything? Hands up. Anybody excited for pizza? Hands up. Anybody that didn't put their hands up is not getting any pizza. I'm looking at you sat there texting. No pizza for that man.
I got my hand up. Oh, not me.
You don't have a beard and they're not a man, Lindsay.
But I got my hand up and my text at the same time. Because I can do two things at once.
Yeah, so she would put it, she could
You'd
cheer
be
it.
happier if you only focused on one.
And he's not here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that pretty much leaves us for the rounding up part of tonight's Refresh Teesside. Pizza's on the way. Thank you for attending. Can I get another round of applause for all of our speakers and our additional speakers? As ever, Refresh Teesside is an event that is supported by you. We are all a part of it. If you want to talk, you want to have anything, come up to us, talk to us, and we'll get you on this platform. And I think that pretty much leaves it. We've got no other announcements. So the pizza is on its way. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And thank you again for joining us for Refresh the 43rd.